Listen, sweetheart, life has this strange way of whispering to us. Sometimes it's gentle, sometimes it hits like a subway train at full speed. But if you slow down, just breathe, you'll hear something important, something meant only for you. And that message is this: you're stronger than you think, stronger than the world ever gave you credit for. Listen, sweetheart, there's something I want to share with you, and it's not just a collection of pretty words or soft reassurances. It's something deeper, something truer, something that's been earned through experience, loss, survival, quiet victories, and countless moments of standing on the edge, wondering what comes next. Maybe you've been there too. Maybe you're there right now. And if you are, I want you to know this moment matters. You matter. And even if the world has been loud, chaotic, unforgiving, or confusing, there's still a voice inside you asking you to slow down for a second and actually listen. So listen, sweetheart, just for a moment, let everything else go and be here. I know life doesn't always make sense. I know there are days when you wake up carrying a weight you never asked for. You try to smile, you try to keep going, and maybe you even manage to fool the people around you, but deep down, you know there's something unsettled, something unfinished, something unspoken. And the strange thing is, you think you're supposed to deal with it alone. You think strength means silence. You think courage means pretending. But that's not how it works. Strength is honesty, courage is vulnerability, and real power comes from accepting that your heart needs to be heard, even when your eyes are tired and your mind is crowded. So listen, sweetheart. Listen to the part of you that's been whispering for years. Listen to the part that remembers who you were before life told you to be smaller. Listen to the part that knows the truth, even when everything else feels uncertain. There's a reason you're still here. There's a reason you haven't given up. And maybe you don't know what that reason is yet, but that doesn't mean it's not real. Sometimes the purpose of your life doesn't reveal itself in dramatic moments. Sometimes it arrives quietly, like a breeze through an open window, reminding you that change is possible and that you're not as stuck as you think. People might have told you to be patient, to stay calm, to keep your emotions in check, but they never told you what to do with all the things you felt. They never told you where to put the pain, where to store the memories, where to tuck the disappointments that kept stacking up. And because no one taught you, you learned to bury them. You learned to move forward while carrying a backpack full of emotional bricks. And even though you've grown stronger because of it, you're also tired. And it's okay to be tired. It's okay to be human. It's okay to pause long enough to acknowledge everything you've survived. Listen, sweetheart, you don't need to prove anything today. You don't need to perform strength for anyone. You don't need to pretend you're unbreakable. Being breakable doesn't make you weak. It makes you real. There's something beautiful about people who have been broken and still choose to show kindness. There's something powerful about people who have been wounded and still choose to love. There's something warrior-like about someone who has every reason to close their heart but keeps it open anyway. That's you, even if you don't realize it yet. Maybe you've been walking through life feeling like something's missing. Like there's a version of you trapped behind a wall you can't quite break through. Like there's a fire inside you that hasn't burned in a long time. And maybe you've convinced yourself that it's too late, that you've messed up too many times, that the world has moved on without you. But that's not true. Nothing is too late as long as you're alive. Nothing is too far gone as long as you're willing to take one more step. Nothing is impossible when the heart decides it's ready to rise again. You don't have to chase anyone else's idea of success. You don't have to measure yourself against timelines you didn't choose. You don't have to meet expectations that were never meant for you. Life isn't a straight path. It's a series of moments, some bright, some dark, some confusing, some breathtaking. And every moment has a purpose, even the ones that feel pointless. Pain teaches why. Oh, how to heal. Uncertainty teaches you how to trust yourself. Silence teaches you how to listen. And heartbreak teaches you how to rebuild with more wisdom and more compassion than before. Listen, sweetheart. The world needs you. Not the version of you who hides behind jokes or distractions. Not the version of you who pretends everything is fine. Not the version of you who thinks being tough means being numb. The world needs the real you. The you who feels deeply. The you who cares even when it hurts. The you who sees beauty in small things. The you who tries even on the days when trying feels like lifting a mountain. There's something rare about a soul like yours. And the world is better because you're in it. You've survived storms no one knows about. You've carried burdens no one saw. You've walked through darkness and still managed to find fragments of light. That alone makes you extraordinary. But now it's time for something different. Now it's time to stop surviving and start living. to stop shrinking and start expanding, to stop doubting and start trusting, because there's a fire in you, quiet, steady, determined, and it's ready to burn again. A lot of people mistake gentleness for weakness. They think that if someone has a soft heart, it means they can be stepped on, ignored, underestimated, but they forget that gentleness is a choice, softness is a skill, compassion is a strength. And the person who can stay kind in a world that often forgets kindness is not weak. They are unstoppable. You're unstoppable even if you haven't realized it yet. Your softness is your superpower. Your resilience is your armor. Your empathy is your compass, guiding you even when you feel lost. Listen, sweetheart, there's something inside you that's been waiting for permission to grow. Maybe it's your voice, maybe it's your dream, maybe it's your courage, and maybe you've spent years telling yourself not yet, maybe someday, maybe when I'm stronger, maybe when things are easier. But life rarely gets easier. Life gets real, life gets honest, life gets unpredictable. And the people who thrive aren't the ones who wait for perfect conditions. They're the ones who take imperfect steps with a brave heart. You don't need perfection. You need presence. You need awareness. You need willingness. The willingness to change, to learn, to fail, to rise, to try again. No one becomes stronger by avoiding challenges. Strength grows through discomfort. Confidence grows through repetition. Wisdom grows through scars. And your story is already filled with the kind of moments that create depth, understanding, and character. Sometimes you feel like your heart is too heavy, like you're carrying things you can't talk about. And maybe you are. Maybe you've kept secrets to protect people who would never protect you back. Maybe you've carried responsibilities that weren't yours to carry. Maybe you've apologized for things that were never your fault. And because of that, you learn to silence yourself. You learn to put everyone else first. But listen, sweetheart, it's okay to take up space. It's okay to speak your truth. It's okay to prioritize your well-being. You don't need to be the one who saves everyone. You don't need to be the one who absorbs every problem. You don't need to be the emotional anchor for people who refuse to anchor themselves. You deserve support too. You deserve to be understood. You deserve to be chosen, not just needed. You deserve to rest without guilt and breathe without fear. There's something miraculous about the human heart. It breaks and it heals. It gets wounded and it grows back stronger. It gets tired and it still finds a way to beat. Your heart has been through battles most people will never know, and it's still beating. That alone is a victory. That alone is proof that you're meant for more. Listen, sweetheart, you are not the mistakes you made. You are not the disappointments you've endured. You are not the people who left or the ones who failed to see your worth. You are not the fear that whispers lies in your ear late at night. You are not the doubt that tries to clip your wings. You are something greater. You are becoming something greater every day, even when it feels like you are standing still. Life isn't asking you to have everything figured out. It's asking you to show up, to breathe, to try, to learn, to grow, to trust that even the smallest step forward is still movement. Even the smallest spark is still fire. Eve, the quietest hope is still hoper. Listen, sweetheart, there's a version of you waiting on the other side of your hesitation, a version of you who knows peace, who knows clarity, who knows freedom, a version who isn't afraid to speak up, to dream boldly, to love openly, a version who isn't held back by old stories or old wounds, a version who remembers that they are worthy of a life that feels meaningful, fulfilling, and real. And that version of you isn't as far away as you think. They're right behind the next honest decision, right behind the next brave moment, right behind the next time you choose yourself instead of your fears. Every breath you take brings you closer. Every truth you speak brings you closer. Every moment you forgive yourself brings you closer. Every time you let go of something that hurts, you create space for something that heals. Listen, sweetheart, you don't need to rush. You don't need to force anything. You just need to keep going. Keep growing. Keep listening to the quiet voice inside that knows exactly who you are meant to be. Listen, sweetheart, there's something we need to talk about, and it isn't something that people usually talk about out loud. Not because it's forbidden, not because it's dangerous, but because most people are simply afraid of being honest with themselves. They go through their lives pretending they're fine, pretending they're unshakable, pretending the weight they're carrying is light enough to tuck into their back pocket, even though it feels more like a suitcase chained to their legs. But you're here, listening, and that means you're ready for something more than pretending. It means you're ready for something real. So let's take a breath together, slow and steady, no pressure, no expectations, just presence. Be here with me for a moment because there's something inside you that deserves to be heard. The world you're living in moves fast, too fast sometimes. It demands things from you before you're ready to give them. It pushes you into roles you didn't choose. It hands you responsibilities that weren't meant for your shoulders, and yet you carry them anyway. You carry them because someone has to. You carry them because you learned early on that if you don't do it, no one will. You carry them because you've been taught that being strong means never letting anything fall apart, even if it costs you pieces of yourself. But listen, sweetheart, being strong doesn't mean breaking yourself to keep everything else together. Real strength is knowing when to open your hands and let the unnecessary weight slide out of your grip. You've been walking through life with a quiet kind of bravery, the kind no one applauds because no one sees it. They don't see the moments you push yourself through exhaustion. They don't see the nights you lie awake questioning everything you said, everything you did, everything you felt. They don't see the memories that still echo in the back of your mind when you're trying to focus on the future instead of the past. They don't see the emotional battles you fight alone, the ones that leave you drained long before the sun rises. But I see you. Right now, in this moment, I see the part of you that is still trying, still hoping, still choosing to move forward, even when half of you wants to stop where you are and let the world pass by without you. The truth is, you've been surviving for so long that you've forgotten what it feels like to live. You've learned how to keep going, how to handle pain, how to adapt, how to carry loss, how to hide fear. But you've forgotten how to breathe without tension. You've forgotten how to trust that something good can happen without you bracing for something bad. You've forgotten what it feels like to move through your day without a knot in your chest, and that's not your fault. Life doesn't always give us the gentlest lessons. Sometimes it teaches you to shrink when you should have grown. Sometimes it teaches you to silence yourself when you should have spoken. Sometimes it teaches you to expect disappointment even when something beautiful is trying to reach you. But listen, sweetheart, you're allowed to outgrow the lessons that hurt you. You're allowed to rewrite the stories that were written for you by people who never knew your heart. You're allowed to unlearn the fear that someone else placed inside you. You're allowed to choose a different path, even if you've walked the same one for years. You don't owe your past any more loyalty than it deserves, and you don't have to keep holding on to versions of yourself that were created in moments of survival. You are allowed to evolve. You are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to realize you deserve more than you've been settling for. People don't tell you this often enough, but the world can break you in ways that don't leave visible scars. It can bend your spirit, dull your spark, and make you forget that your existence is meaningful. It can convince you that your voice doesn't matter, your dreams are unrealistic, your emotions are too much, your needs are inconvenient. But none of that is true. You are not too much. You are not difficult. You are not unworthy. You are human, and being human means feeling deeply, wanting connection, craving understanding, needing comfort, longing for purpose. None of these things make you weak. They make you alive. You've spent so much of your life trying to be what people needed you to be, trying to meet expectations you never agreed to, trying to please people who didn't truly see you, trying to fulfill obligations that drained you, and in the process you lost pieces of yourself, pieces of your joy, your confidence, your spontaneity, your creativity, your light. But those pieces aren't gone forever. They're waiting for you to slow down long enough to hear them, waiting for you to open the door you closed years ago when you decided it was safer to be quiet than to be misunderstood, waiting for you to remember who you were before fear became your second language. Listen, sweetheart, you don't have to fight yourself anymore. You don't have to be your own enemy. You don't have to keep replaying the same mistakes, the same regrets, the same heartbreaks over and over in your mind. You can put the memories down. You can give yourself permission to heal. Healing doesn't mean pretending the pain never happened. It doesn't mean forcing yourself to get over it. Healing means acknowledging what hurt you and choosing not to carry the wound like a badge of identity. Healing means accepting that the past shaped you, but it doesn't define the rest of your life. There's a quiet strength in you, the kind that doesn't need recognition, the kind that grows in silence, the kind that wakes up each morning and tries again even when the world has given you 1,000 reasons not to, the kind that feels deeply without apology, the kind that sees beauty in small moments, sunlight on your hands, a breeze through an open window, a song that feels like a memory you haven't lived yet, the kind that still believes in goodness despite the times you were met with disappointment. That strength is rare. That strength is real. That strength is you. Sometimes you look at yourself and all you see are flaws, mistakes, imperfections. But if you could step outside your body for a moment and look at yourself the way someone who truly loves you would, you'd see something completely different. You'd see someone who has survived everything that was meant to break them. Someone who kept going even when their heart felt shattered. Someone who cared even when they were treated carelessly. Someone who tried even when they didn't have much left to give. Someone who feels deeply, loves fiercely, hopes quietly, dreams secretly. Someone who deserves more compassion, not less. Someone who deserves more love, not less. Someone who deserves more peace, not less. You aren't behind in life. You aren't late. You aren't failing. You're unfolding at your own pace, and that pace is enough. Life is not a race. Life is not a competition. Life is not a timeline you must follow to earn worthiness. Your journey is unique, and comparing it to someone else's will only rob you of appreciation for your own growth. You have grown in ways you don't acknowledge. You have changed in ways you don't recognize. You have overcome challenges you never thought you could survive. You're still learning, still becoming, still rising. And that matters more than you realize. Listen, sweetheart, you are allowed to rest. You are allowed to step back. You are allowed to breathe without feeling guilty for it. Rest is not laziness. Rest is repair. Rest is the moment your soul finally gets to exhale after holding everything in for too long. You don't have to earn rest by exhausting yourself first. You deserve peace simply because you exist. You deserve gentleness simply because you're human. You deserve moments of stillness simply because your heart needs them. There is a future waiting for you that is bigger than your fears, a future where you speak without trembling, a future where you love without apologizing, a future where you wake up excited instead of anxious, a future where peace feels familiar instead of foreign, a future where you trust yourself enough to follow the path your heart has been pointing toward all this time. And that future starts with this moment, this breath, this truth you are finally allowing yourself to hear. Listen, sweetheart, you're not alone, even when you feel like you are. You're not broken, even when your heart aches. You're not weak, even when your tears fall. You're not lost, even when you're searching for direction. You're just human, trying to find your way, trying to make meaning out of the chaos, trying to rediscover the